Can you be a bibic hero? We need you now more than ever. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Sensational Life with Bibic. We've got another little interim episode for you because we really love recording these and sharing ideas with you, so thank you so much for tuning in again. It's just me today, so I've got a little script, so don't go off or miss anything, as Abby is on a very well-deserved holiday. So I'm going to be kicking things off before we get into what we've got in store for you. Today we've got Luke with us. You might have seen him on our social media or even on the BBC as he shares his story about how Bibic has made a real difference for his family life. And here's why this episode matters. Right now, Bibic is facing a huge challenge. We've got a £25,000 funding gap, and without your help, we risk not being able to provide the life-changing therapy so many families rely on. We don't get any government funding. Everything we do is thanks to people like you, and the difference it makes is incredible. Last year, we supported over 1,800 people, and 97% of those families said they understood their child better after coming to Bibic. So please, as you listen today, think about how you can help. Can you be a Bibic hero and join us on our mission to raise £25,000 this month? Every donation, whether it's big or small, really changes lives. So now, let's hear from Luke and bring Abby back, because you're probably all missing her, and hear his story. Welcome back, everyone, to The Sensational Life with Bibic. We've got another cheeky snippet episode, I think, that we're putting in before our season 2 launch. We're really grateful and actually really lucky today to have the wonderful Luke join us for an episode about his experience at Bibic, what's that meant for his family, what sort of the Bibic journey was like, and we wanted to share it with you. So I'm going to hand it over to Luke to introduce himself and let us know a little bit about his story, a little bit about his family that we might not know yet.
Pressure.
Straight in.
Well, hello everybody. My name's Luke, and my husband and I have 2 adopted children, and we adopted them back in 2018 and then 2020. And Octavia, our eldest, when she joined us, she came with her own little life experiences, and a lot of stuff that had occurred in her world, even just before the age of 1, is probably more than may have occurred in any of our lifetimes. And so with that comes some challenges and some needs and some behaviours that perhaps don't instantly display in children that are still with their birth families. So when it comes to that with adopted children, you don't know what you're getting, you know. And so we spent a long time with Octavia wondering, is it because of early life trauma? Is it because she's neurodivergent? Is it because it's age related? Is it just her personality? And I'm sure there are lots of parents out there that can kind of relate to that kind of muddle of feelings and emotions and not knowing where to look first. And so it's not that we resisted, but for a long time we explored other things, or that, you know, maybe it is just age related. Maybe this is children and we've never had one.
It goes back to that they don't give you a manual.
God, nobody prepared you for having kids, right? I mean, and also nobody promised it was easy. I wish I took notes earlier on.
You don't know until you're in it, though.
No, absolutely not. I still don't know day to day.
No. I sit here going, I haven't got children, so I'm just trying to
know I do it,
And then you're the same. You keep going, oh yeah, we do that. That happens at home. And I might have no idea.
I mean, even with, you know, 2.4 children kind of household, neurotypical kids, like it's still a minefield every day. So just adding in some of these layers that Octavia has is interesting. To say the least. But actually, one of my clients said to me, oh, you know, my daughter's been having challenges and we've seen this amazing charity called Bibic. And then, you know, and I worked with her daughter as well. And so just for a little bit of background, I run a wellbeing centre, and one of the practices I do is I teach yoga, and I was teaching her mum yoga in the adult classes, and I was teaching her daughter children's yoga. And we were working with her for various things. And anyway, long story short, turns out that her daughter has autism, and came here to Bibic to have that process kind of assessed and looked into. And so she came out singing and dancing and praising everything that you guys do.
Of course.
Yeah. Why wouldn't she?
Do you know, this episode, I think there's Abby blushing, like,
ego inflating, really, yeah.
Your hair flicks, yes, that's true. And so I thought, oh, no, she's explaining it to me. And I'm like, oh, that really matches some of Octavia's stuff.
Yeah.
And although, well, she didn't get assessed with ASD, but other things, I thought, wow, this is interesting. And so I just reached out.
Yeah.
And that was good on COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
So times were tricky then. And also, stuck in the house with them, certainly.
Because I really see these things.
Yeah, I feel like, especially COVID, I feel like anytime anyone says the word COVID, it's like, oh, COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, always said it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of parents experience that in COVID, that you were spending so much more time with them, that those even smaller behaviours that maybe you would have still had day to day, but because they were exacerbated by the fact that there were so many more rules, so many more expectations, you could or couldn't do something. I feel like that really, especially for individuals with neurodivergence, I think it really there was that clear divide then, because it was like, well, I don't know actually what is societal norms, what is
everything you've known has changed overnight.
Yeah.
And not just at home, like the whole world.
Yeah.
And when in history has that ever happened, right?
Yeah.
Mad, but we don't need to talk about
No.
that. But,
generational trauma.
I mean, it'll go down in the history books. But I think particularly Octavia's generation were the worst affected.
Yeah.
Because she was just she was like nursery transitioning to year R. And so her foundations of her school life were completely disrupted.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of early attachment that they build with teachers and things like that, and adults that aren't their parents, that they're then going to be responsible for them for 5 days a week, like, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And especially for children that then have attachment issues because of being removed from other families and stuff like that. So it was a massive deal.
Yeah.
And of course, we then saw increase in some of the challenging behaviours from her. Stuff that was on our radar in pockets, and little things from school and some friendship stuff. But then suddenly it was like, boom.
Yeah.
It all hit us. So that was a real moment of, oh, we need to do something. And then at that same time, we welcomed Amelia to our family.
Yeah.
And so that threw her out as well. And without going too much detail, it was another adversity in our home. And so, like, a lot happened at once.
Yeah.
And suddenly all of these things came to the surface, which was interesting. It is an understated word.
I was going to say, that was putting in, obviously.
Yeah.
But it made us take action, and in hindsight, I think actually it was amazing that it happened so young, because we have established this stuff so young for Octavia that we can deal with it, and we can put coping mechanisms in place for her, and she can learn things about herself at such a young age. So many people now are finding this stuff out when they're adults. They're getting diagnosed later. Like, I'm 40 and I literally have been on the phone to the GP today, like, how do I get assessed for ASD? Because in doing these assessments, I'm like, oh, that's me. I admit that box.
We find that, don't we? Like, often when we're doing assessments, we're going through maybe the autism perform or the ADHD perform, and parents go, oh, but I do that. Oh, is that not tip in inverted commas in a podcast? No one can see, but is that
we have linked into podcasting?
So it's been eye-opening in many ways. Actually, this whole process, not just for her, but for our whole family.
And I think also, I find as well, like, I've learned a lot in terms of like neurodivergence and things like that, and it always sounds like, and I don't really know how to word this, but it's sort of like, I feel like sometimes parents worry, or because there is so many people using neurodivergence and saying autism, ADHD, and for you, again, this is a whole new journey for you and later on in life. And I feel like because there's so much more knowledge and understanding, things like that, it opens up that opportunity to be able to evaluate and see actually what does that mean for me? How does that mean? And I find that, especially in the workplace that we're in, those that have neurodivergence tend to come together because there tends to be that understanding unconsciously of each other. And I think sometimes it feels like that everyone's in the same location, same place, but actually it's just because we all have that similar understanding. And so again, you've got a completely different understanding of Octavia that, say, someone else would have.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I think I'm trying to say it from like, I worry that people worry and overthink the potential that there is neurodivergence because of, so, like, this is why we open it up to adult assessments and things like that, because I think we're in a society of two different things. People that are happy to just take it on and go, yeah, that's me, and people that like, oh, but I don't know if I feel confident enough to say it and things like that. And I just feel like this is why this is so important.
I think more conversations need to happen.
Yeah.
Because historically, it was just like, you know, you're a naughty kid, you get put in that box or category, or they're just a bit difficult.
There's been such a stigma around it, hasn't
there?
And
people just get shamed and bullied, and you know, and if we're going to go into adult stuff, like in what the reason I'm self-employed really is because in workplaces, I just really struggled with my own behaviour.
Yeah.
And then so I go self-employed, and years later I'm like, oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
I also think, like, I feel like as a parent as well, to sort of be in that situation, go, we've seen these behaviours and we've seen these snippets, and you're trying to put it all together, and then you've kind of gone, actually, we're going to go seek out some support and find. And I feel like some parents get stuck in the, should I seek out support? Shouldn't I seek out support? Is my child going to get labelled? Isn't my child going to get labelled? What does it? And I even had a conversation with a parent on the phone the other day, and there were so many questions because there's so many different avenues and so many different directions. And I feel like it's so useful to have a parent to go, actually, we got to a point where we were like, let's just go see if we can get some support.
I think labels is a great conversation.
Yeah.
Because my experience is that most people want the diagnosis. But from my perspective with Octavia, I was like, we're not at the point where we need medication. And for us personally, that would be a last resort. And we just need to know what's going on with her. We need some reasoning. And we need to understand what we're working with and get some tools and techniques. And we got everything that we needed out of bibic. And we didn't necessarily want even to have that on her record for the rest of our life. We don't want her to even be identified by it. We just want her to know how to navigate it and how to work it. You know, and so for us, actually, the diagnosis wasn't important. The help was important. The understanding was important. And then subsequently, we ended up having the Johansson therapy. I mean, which is incredible. We just played her some clinky clunky music every night. And now she's a different child. Like, how did this even happen? It's magic.
For everyone to know, it's not just some clinky. There was so much.
A bit more scientific than that, but yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I think, again, with Johansson, trying to explain Johansson to people is really hard, because especially when, like, even having kids in the middle of doing Johansson, they're like, oh, it sounds like aliens, it sounds like this, and we're like, I wish I could just show you what it's doing, because it just doesn't make sense that a 10-minute piece of music for 10 minutes a day
can make that much
difference.
I mean, and I cannot even, and every time I tell people about it, they look at me like I'm an alien. But they look at me because I'm into woo-woo stuff, and they're like, oh, it's another woo-woo thing. I'm like, no, it's not. It's
genuinely not.
There's science backing it. So just, I feel like we probably...
So we skipped a couple of steps.
Give a brief overview of Johansson, because I think that's important as well.
So there is going to be a whole podcast on auditory processing where we go in a little bit deeper, so watch out for that one. But Johansson therapy is about enhancing our listening pathways. Johansson is listening to set pieces of music every day, and within the music you have got frequencies that we hear sounds on embedded within it to enhance that and make it that little bit easier for information to get to that language centre. You have different pieces of music, but it is quite a long program. So how old was Octavia when she started?
6, I think.
6. So she would have done it every 6 weeks. So she'd listen to one piece of music, 10 minutes a day for 6 weeks before moving on to a different set of music. And so, it's quite a long time. Yeah. It is a long program.
Is it about 40 6-year-olds?
Well, 6 times 5, so Octavia would have done it for
maths.
30 weeks.
No, we established yesterday, maths is not my strong point.
30 weeks. It all depends on age. So Octavia was 6, so she would have done it every 6 weeks, but it can be up to every 12 weeks depending on age.
And I think also with Johansson, and this is the thing I think potentially supported Octavia so much, because it's all brain plasticity, and because she's younger, that's why she did it for a shorter period. But yes, it's all about the listening pathways and the pathways within the brain and making them more effective. But I think it doesn't give credit to actually the impact that being able to process auditory information faster helps with language, it helps with communication, it helps with self-esteem, it helps with regulation,
social skills, and
and it's such a big bracket that it doesn't make sense how 10-minute piece of
but it changed everything. She can, for the most part, age specific, she can regulate herself so much better. She can form healthy relationships. Her attitude to learning is better. She's not in fight or flight all the time. It's just been incredible. And we're bowled over every day. And we're we cannot believe that this thing did this thing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that you saw for Octavia before the Johansson therapy?
That's probably the first question you asked me. So behavioural stuff in the sense of not being able to regulate herself and her emotions. Attachment stuff, which obviously came from her early life challenges, and so transitions to school were really difficult. So she's like an infant junior school situation. So in her infant school, the first 2 years, I was more or less we had to take her into special measures pretty much every day. So whether that's through the reception office or 5 minutes earlier than the other kids or whatever, because the transition of leaving me and then going into the classroom was just too traumatic for her. And then you kind of get into a routine, and then it's half term. Then you get into a routine, then it's Easter holidays. And and it is constantly just in that cycle of we're getting there, oh, we've disrupted it again. And then then after summer holidays, year changes, big issues, and so there's all the anxiety leading up to the summer holidays, there's the out of routineness in the summer holidays, and then there's the going back and trying to get back to normal again. It was just an ongoing battle. And then attitude to learning. She is developmentally behind by about a year because of, again, her early life stuff. She didn't even have the attitude for learning. You couldn't even get her to engage. Things like reading were incredibly traumatic for her. She couldn't sit still. She would spin around. She would get stressed. She would get angry. And you're just trying to read a simple word like and. And, and it would cause that kind of reaction that became incredibly stressful for her. And then one of the most challenging parts would be relationships, because she would get unhealthily attached to some children, almost obsessively attached. And then that then caused issues with the other children, with the parents in the playground. And, and then separations have to occur, and then so that's another loss. So even that she had a best friend who was also adopted, and she just couldn't healthily establish a relationship with her, and so then they had to be separated classrooms, and then that was another trauma for her, and so we're just constantly in this cycle of what do we do? How do we calm you down? How do we regulate you? How do we get you to process the world in a healthy, functional way? How do we get you to read the word and? And it was just a daily battle, and it just seemed to be getting worse and worse the older she got.
And because you recently did, you shared your story, and we got to share that on the BBC, which was quite exciting, and on the radio. Just saying, Nick's famous. But in that, you were sort of saying about there was that initial apprehension before coming to Bibic, and I think if you're happy to, would you explain sort of how you felt during your assessment process, like going from that initial sort of like unsure as such to actually stepping through the door, meeting Chelsea, who was your therapist, what that was like for Octavia, and then leaving, because obviously it's a 2-day assessment. Not a lot of people have the opportunity to have that. Like, you have that whole first day of testing, and then you have the feedback, and we do acknowledge that sometimes the feedback is like, bam, here's loads and loads of information. So I thought, from like a parent's perspective, how was that for you?
I mean, we have to also acknowledge that during COVID things were a bit different. So it's a little different now because we had to wait over a year for our assessment, which of course isn't the case now.
No.
What is it now? About 6 to 8 weeks?
About 8, 8 weeks now.
Okay, which is much better than the year. However,
we've done a long way.
We felt a year was all right at the time.
It was like the norm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so initially we kind of made the phone call, or I can't remember, we might have filled out a form online and then had a phone call. I think that was all we did. And then we felt like we had support straight away, because it was like, okay, you have to wait a year, but here's a phone line. Here's a contact. Here's some information in the meantime. So it wasn't just like sit on a waiting list and just survive day to day until there was still some aspect of support or guidance in place, which was great, because again, you might not get that from other services. And so we then obviously waited a year and we came in and did our assessments. Our apprehensions, I guess, a few things. One, you're not a diagnosing service. Oh no, is this even going to be worth it? Which we talked about and was totally worth it. More importantly, like, we're not your average family. We're a 2-dad family. Octavia, if you've met her, you would assume is a little boy. She, since her earliest days, has presented as a little boy. She still calls herself a girl, but we're just letting her lead her way on that. And so there is an aspect of any professional that we approach where we might fear judgment, where we might fear that they don't understand our family dynamic. They think that we've created this, and so that's always a fear. And it's because it came as a recommendation. It wasn't a massive anxiety, but it was this could still happen, and it does in some places and circumstances and with some professionals. But like, there was almost an exhale when I walked in. Like, oh, it's okay, they're nice.
Shall we flick our hair again?
And so we felt okay, like at ease. And then the process, I mean, to get 2 days, wow. The first day, Octavia just had the best time. She spent most of the day playing. But all the toys and things here, and she's very active, incredibly active. And so, like, she had the best time, and she'd just pop in the room every, for like 5-10 minutes at a time, then go back out and play 5 minutes at a time. So it wasn't like we had to bring her to like a stuffy doctor's office. And she had to sit with somebody in a uniform and a lanyard. And funnily enough, lanyards are a bit of a trigger point for her social workers and things in her life. And so, like, it just felt quite homely. I mean, and it's still like a Magnolia office room. But it there's all these toys, there's freedom to leave the room and to come back in the room. Like, she knew where the toilets were, stuff, just things like that would ordinarily cause her anxiety. Felt at ease because there's a play area. There are other children. There are people that aren't forcing her to sit down in a chair for a period of time. And so instantly it felt like you guys understood the needs of her needs. Before you'd even met her, you kind of preempted, okay, children in her position can't just come into a stuffy doctor's office and sit still for a whole day to do assessments. And you guys understood that, and that was great. And then, of course, so you get the whole day of assessment, and I'm sat there answering yes to myself. And then and then the next day we actually chose to do on, if I recall, because we've been here so many times now, I think we did the next day online. Because of childcare and not wanting her really around while we were discussing her. And so that was easy, fine. We got then sent a barrage of documents. I mean, there are a lot of documents. And so I would say that's the one thing that's a little bit overwhelming because we got a lot of information, all super useful. Just like, oh, we've had like a whole weekend of information. I don't know what to do with all these documents. But over time, of course, we picked and choose what we needed. And the greatest thing really was that you get this kind of, we got like a 12-page report or something. And then so I took that to the school and they were like, amazing. Like, this is better than what we ordinarily get. We can work with this information, we can use this information. I'm like, here, I've got some documents. So I sent them a bunch of documents. And so then they used it and they understood it and they absorbed it and they appreciated it. And so again, we didn't need like formalised CAMS NHS approved document. What we needed was the information assessed by a person that knows what they're doing and the school who looked at it and said, this is exactly what we need. Right. And then not only that, we then had Chelsea and said, if you want me to talk to the school, you know, in a kind of apprehension of maybe they won't accept it or maybe they won't work with it or whatever, which fortunately the school were great. But you know, Chelsea was like, I can do that. And that's so great. And she didn't need to, but it's great that that was there as well. It wasn't just like, here's your document, bye.
Because you get 6 months key working afterwards. Did you manage to utilise?
We didn't need to.
No.
Well, I mean, a little bit, a few emails back and forth, but we didn't particularly need to because the school accepted it. And actually, the NHS accepted it. I don't, not because we, I don't know officially if they would accept it if we were to ask for medication, because we haven't gone down that route. But it is on her records that she has been assessed for ADHD and attachment disorder and sensory processing disorder, and that she has, you know, come back as looking positive to have those things. And now it's written on her medical records, and they seem to be okay with that.
That's good.
And so actually, all the services that needed the information and social services, because they're involved because of their life, they all took it and they used it and they were appreciative of it. And I thought, actually, again, why are we like waiting all these years and years to get the services that are kind of officially approved? When you can just like get this done now in 8 weeks, and have everything that you need. So that was great. And so then we came back for the follow-up, which was the Janssen treatment with Claire. And then that was, what, I think, I can't remember, 30 weeks we established. We did the math. And so bibic's just kind of been part of our life now for the last year or two. And still is now, which we're probably going to come on to.
Because I was going to say, like, for me, I know we're recording a podcast like that, but for me, like, because it's become our day-to-day, and within the work we do, we're always thinking about what's the newest, like, service that we can offer, and we become very within that. But actually sat here listening and thinking, for a child coming into a space like, yes, it's Magnolia, but coming into a space like that and actually the impact on that little girl by being able to move, having access to the toilets, having access to the toys, being able to come and say, hello, Dad, how are you doing? And then going back out and checking in and then getting to build that relationship with the therapist. I forget about it because it becomes our norm. And then actually having you say that again, I was like, oh, actually, the impact on that. But yeah, I thought that was nice to hear. I won't flick my hair because that's actually a genuine reaction. So you alluded to bibic is now part of your life. So you're not only a parent that's experienced our support, but you're also now on our board of trustees as a parent advisor, isn't it? That you can come
and an HR professional, because that was my professional career prior to BSR.
I was just about saying there's other aspects to why you're there. So what kind of inspired you to take that leap and go and join the board and things like that? What sort of...
Well, I got an email from Chelsea. That said, you know, we're looking for parent trustees. We think we might be a good match. And I'm one of these people that signs up to every blooming committee. and so my guy almost became a governor at the school. I don't know what I do for myself. So
you run a business.
I'm always on a committee. And so the whole governor thing was a thing where I went to myself, no, don't do it. Just stop going on.
That's enough.
Just calm yourself down. And so this came up, and my instant response was, don't do it, calm yourself down, stop signing up things, you haven't got time. But the difference, I guess, between being a governor at school and being on the board of trustees here is like, although the school are amazing, bibic, like, would incredibly directly impactful on my daughter and on our family life.
Yeah.
And it's not just about Octavia, it's about me and Alex and Amelia and how we operate as a family unit. And so everything also said to me, you got to do this, because they're crying out for support, because it's not easy to get trustees, as you know, for any charity. It's not easy to find trustees because it's voluntary and people have to give up their time to do it, and everybody's time poor in the world at the moment. But I thought, now I've got to do this one. I have to do this one because this has directly impacted our whole lives.
Yeah.
And how could I not do it? They've got a gap for the skill set that I have. They're also looking for parent trustees, particularly because with the Johansson stuff, I don't know if you had loads prior to us, how many people you had doing it and kind of the results and stuff. So obviously I was a great advocate for that as well. And I just thought it has to be a fit. You know, I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I chose to do it, because I love a committee. And it was so much more. It's one of the only things I think that I can properly get excited and passionate about and tell everybody in the playground about, and they look at me like I'm an alien. But like, I just constantly bang on about it to people, so I need to kind of put my money where my mouth is, I suppose, and say, okay, if I'm going to keep banging on about it, I need to become a proper advocate of it, you know?
Yeah. I love that.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Brilliant. So like, looking ahead, what are your hopes for bibic, both as a parent who's benefited and as someone who's trying to help shape the future of bibic?
I think there's so much potential with bibic. I think you've barely scratched the surface of your abilities and impacts that you can have on the world. If you're going to go big, we'll go the world.
We'll go big.
But at least the UK. And as you know, you're starting to step into adult services. And one of the things that I was really passionate about and spoke a lot about in my interview for a trustee was I really want to work with parents. Like, it is exhausting having a neurodivergent child. I potentially have two, but we won't talk about Amelia today. That's me, poor Alex. But I just think, like, parents give everything and more of themselves, and they neglect themselves, and they don't know who to turn to. They don't know who to have honest conversations with, who they can just be real with and let go and just cry with, whatever, you know. I think there's so much pressure to do perfect parenting in the world. And perfect parenting doesn't exist, but it's all a facade, and that's kind of what the world wants to see. There's a lot of fear about parenting, a lot of fear about honesty, and so one of my big passions is to work with adults. And I think that's my hope for bibic, is that it becomes a service that is more holistic, in a sense of it's about the family unit. It's not just about the child; it's about the family unit. It's a bigger picture, and so the impact that you guys have had on Octavia has impacted our family unit. And so I'm like, great, how can we as a charity expand into that? Because it's not just this one thing, it's so much bigger. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so I think the fact that bibic's going into adult services is incredible. But I think there's just it could snowball. Like, you could be doing corporate stuff. You could be going to businesses and educating them about neurodiversity in the workplace. Because for me, that's my biggest hang up and trauma of being employed, was my neurodiversity in a workplace. And not understanding it myself, and the employers not understanding it. So I just think you have the bones and the foundations of working with children. But why stop there? Because it is a bigger picture. You know, and so that's kind of my hopes and ambitions for bibic, is that you just continue. We just continue.
You're one of us.
I was going to say, one of us.
The dark side.
Yeah.
So I just think that is an ever-expanding market.
Totally agree. And that's the whole thing, it's neurodiversity, isn't it? It's whether you're neurotypical, neurodivergent, whatever, there is always... I think also with the things that we recommend and the strategies and stuff like that, we're always evaluating how we're feeding back to parents, what strategies we're giving them, what recommendations, what's the therapy plan even look like. So since you came, it's a whole different therapy plan now. But that's the thing, isn't it? Every person could still utilise those strategies.
Regardless of who they are and how their brain works. So.
Yeah. Even siblings.
Yeah.
You know, siblings have to put up with a lot if they've got neurodiverse siblings.
Yeah.
Or parents.
Yeah.
A lot, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a key part of that is just the understanding, like just simply understanding, like how the brain works, executive functioning, regulation, sense, like all of that.
Compassion, empathy, understanding. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just about education.
Yeah.
Right? And it can be as simple as that. You know, okay, we can assess this person, this child, whoever, but then how do we educate the people around that child so that they have compassion and understanding and empathy for that child, for that situation, for those circumstances, and for other people that might come into their life with the same things? How can they recognise those traits?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so we can minimise judgment in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
That'd be lovely.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It
sounds so simple. What message would you like to give other parents who are perhaps on the fence about reaching out for support?
Ask yourself why you're on the fence. Like what is it?
Not a comfortable place to be.
I was getting a nice cushy chair on my side of the fence. Just ask yourself, what is it that you're questioning? Because I'm pretty certain that for a lot of people it's not a diagnosing service. But only need to listen to this podcast to know, does that actually matter? What is it that you want out of it? Do you want to help your child get the support you need, understand your child, and let all the professionals around you understand your child? Probably the answer to that is yes. Then you could do it here. If I look at Octavia's behaviour prior to coming here and now, it's done a complete 180. She's a completely different child. And she is regulating, and she is secure, and she feels safe, and she's learning, and she's got healthy friendships.
But that's credit to you as well. So, you know, you might have got the tools from bibic, but you and your partner, that you've been the ones that have put in the hard work. And if you were to sum up in one sentence what bibic has meant for you and your family, what would it be?
That's a big question.
It is.
It has changed the dynamics of our family. And I think had we not done this, I don't know what state we'd be in as a family unit. We all know or have seen or heard stories of people who have broken down marriages or relationships or are just on their knees because of children that they don't know, that they don't understand, that they can't work with, that they just don't understand, they're not getting the help or support that they need. And I just think, I don't know where we'd be. I don't know where my personal mental health would be if we were continuing on the same trajectory that we were. And so when you ask, what does it mean? The answer is everything, because our entire family unit has changed for the better because of us understanding Octavia better and getting the treatment that she needed to help regulate herself.
Love that.
So powerful.
Again, we are on a podcast and we're both just looking at them like,
so lovely.
I need to do a hair flick now.
Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, Lou.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being asked.
We've loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
It's me again. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and for hearing Luke's story. We hope it inspired you as much as it inspired us. If you want to keep up with everything we're doing at bibic, make sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and you can see all the updates regarding our Wanted campaign over there. And don't forget, you can be a bibic hero too. Every share, every like, every donation, every comment keeps us changing lives for families across the UK. Share your thoughts, share your comments, and even just share it onto your stories. We're so grateful. Until next time, Abby will be back, don't worry. So take care, and thank you for being part of this amazing community.